Hello and welcome to Wehry Dads. I'm your host, PJ Wehry, with my co-host,
Dad, and I'm not with PJ. I'm in, please come to Boston. She said no. Oh, rambling man, well, don't you settle down. Boston ain't you? Okay, that was the beginning of Wehry Dads like none other.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
I'm excited to be
Love that
with
dirty
you.
water.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there we go. Hey, by the way, do you know who our sponsor is today?
Who is our
sponsor?
Coach?
Is Statler Text Surfer Classic Yellow Highlighters. And actually, folks, can you all see it on the camera, even though this is a podcast? It's highlighters. And for those of you that know me, I am a highlighter monger. So I like the Statler. I also like the Stablo Boss. It could be brothers, but I just Stablo. I just like highlighters. So, folks, that's who's sponsoring us today. I love highlighters, and they should sponsor us.
And our topic today, we've been talking about routines.
Yeah, you jumped right past that one.
Like morning routines.
Yep. Our topic for today is routines.
Work routines.
Yes.
Like, how do you make a solid work routine? Coach, run with it, because I know you've done a lot of work in this area.
So this is really fun for me to do. I hope that PJ gets to talk today. But, we talked about morning routines, and I want to talk to you a little bit today, and PJ's going to jump because he has a totally different schedule. But we're both seeking clarity. That would be the key. In your work, that's what you want. You want clarity and balance. And so you're going to do what I would say is best for you. But here's some tidbits that I have been able to work through and have helped me. One, I don't schedule any meetings before 10 o'clock. That allows me to get that morning routine in. And I would tell you folks, if you can do that, I used to do breakfast meetings. Now, there are two things I liked about breakfast meetings. One, I got to go to breakfast. So that was always a plus. All right. The other was it was convenient for guys that worked and they could then get in. But I'll tell you the tough thing about that is it's hard to build routines for your morning, like your exercise, your personal time. They do get scattered. And PJ, as I'm talking, folks, you can't see this, is nodding his head because he does some breakfast meetings, correct? And what's your day like after you do the breakfast meetings? They're not bad, but what are you doing? It seems like.
Well, no, there's definitely the difference between I have my mornings to myself and I'm able to get a few things done, get my mind ordered and planned, versus like I get up, I have a coffee group. I really enjoy it and it's good for me, but I get up and I go and sit with some guys and do coffee with them. But I lose an hour to even 2 hours worth of just kind of that deep work moment or that like personal
folks,
work.
If you could see PJ.
There's a trade-off there, right? And
if you could see PJ, your hands came in. Folks, if you could see this, he took them into a circle. And what I wanted to yell is, it helps you focus. No?
Yeah.
Because you're saying deep work, but I see it helps you to block out all the distractions and get your mind in tune. So I know I cut PJ kind of off with that, folks, but I have to say.
No, that was good.
Yeah, I got to say, this is what I found. And so I would encourage you folks, if you could, in your workday, and I maybe will do 9:30. And the reason I will say this is because what I've also done for my morning work routine is I work on my emails from 9:30 to 10. So I knock out my emails. Now, some of you may go, wow, that's really good idea. Maybe I should try that. I don't know if I can get all mine done. Folks, I get probably 1 or 2 emails that I have to deal with every day. It's not a lot. So the funny thing is I say to you from 9:30 to 10, well, I'll do from 9:30 to about 9:45, knock those 2 emails out. And then I start, and it's interesting because PJ used this term. It helps me then my best work time is probably from 10 to about 12:30. And someone would say, why are we supporting you? For those that are partners in our ministry, or why should we even consider this guy? Because he only works 2.5 hours a day, right? What I'm saying is, no, that's my best time to knock down. And this is what I would say is that is when I eat the frog. You know that term, PJ?
Yeah,
eat the frog, do the hard thing. Now, I'm going to also say this. In the morning, as part of my morning routine, I've already texted everybody that I stay in touch with. I've often had people say this, and I don't mean to be self-effacing, but saying, man, they'll ask, so hey, I know, Pete, you have a character coach here, or you have a coach here. Pete, tell me, how my bosses will ask, hey, I know Pete's in touch with you. Oh yeah, he's in touch with us all the time. You know what the truth is, folks?
Right.
It's a text every day. They feel like I'm in touch with. Now, I'm going to go through something else here a little later, but just that morning touch of encouragement. I have 3 group texts for our character coaches, and then I text numerous coaches, just an encouraging thought, verse, statement, whatever. And again, these are just little tidbits that help me knock out and get things done. Now, meanwhile, folks, I've got my emails and my texts done. I'm working on stuff from 10 to about 12:30. Now, I will say this, and this is where PJ was talking about meeting with those guys, and they're probably in a different spot, but I do like doing lunch connections. When I'm going to meet somebody face to face, instead of doing breakfast, I do lunch. And the reason I do that is then I'm able to still do the connected part, but I still keep my morning big rocks. Now, that changed 5 years ago, and I'm 60. I used to do those breakfast ones, but and again, my most productive time is from 10 to 1:30. By the way, included in some of that is maybe some hard phone calls. Okay? We have a guest? Yep.
Baba's talking.
All right.
Are you supposed to come during a podcast?
I want to speak.
Hey, Søren? Søren, can you hear me?
All right, talk to Baba.
Yeah.
I love you.
Here, you got to talk in the mic. Look, talk in the mic.
Yeah.
What are you going to tell Baba? Baba.
I like you. I love you.
I too.
Oh,
I love you
that's
too.
awesome.
And you're the best.
All right, go watch the alligators.
Hey,
okay?
hey, wait, give me a kiss.
Love you, Baba.
All right.
All right, blow Baba a kiss. There you go. And I think that right there is a great example of how different routines have to adjust to different life circumstances, because you're not having anyone come into your podcast in your hotel room.
Well, I hope not. Okay.
Yeah.
Although your mom and I were on
Anyways.
vacation for 4 days, and the lady just walked in, the cleaning lady.
I think that's a great illustration of even what we're talking about, like the different sides of it.
Well, it is good.
If that makes sense.
Because what it does is you got to be flexible.
Yeah.
Well, let me just throw this one.
Well, I was going to say,
go ahead.
Yes, go.
Well, I was going to say the other thing I do, and you see this, and you do this. Anytime I make phone calls, and by the way, for what I do, I'm on the phone enough. So there's 2 things I either am doing, and they're strategic. One, I'm starting to walk. Okay, unless it's July in Florida, and then I walk in my our place, right? But the other one is I do a lot of my phone calls, and I have about 25 people that I have to call each month that I oversee and check up on. I do that when I'm driving.
Yeah,
and I thank God for Bluetooth. It's safe, and then probably the biggest thing about it is those trips don't seem as long; they go faster. And I'm able to communicate. And I have, like I said, 25 people that need that. And then I have about 100, and I don't even know, to 200 coaches that I've stayed in touch with. I just don't even know. I'll even think, man, I need to make a connection. Pete, I'm going to say one more thing, and then, I want to hear some thoughts, is what I'm saying. But the other thing I have, folks, and you're going to smile, is I schedule a nap every day. Because we're going to talk about evening routines. One of my evening routines, I get to bed at a certain time, but I get up early. And so I usually get about 6.5 hours sleep in the afternoon. It's on my schedule, our work. We have a team calendar they laugh because it says from 1:30 to 2 nap. It says nap. I get about a 25, 30 minute nap every day. And that just helps me. Thoughts?
Yeah, and I think that's really that's where I was kind of going to kind of go. Someone to really look at for the neurological side of this is Andrew Huberman. Really love his stuff on dopamine and focus and natural light and sleep. Yeah, he's got all the scientific side of it. One thing he talked about, just lots of little tricks for your brain, and I'm not going to get into all that because I'm not going to explain as well as him. But if you want to look up Andrew Huberman, he's a professor out at Stanford. He has his own podcast. He's been on a lot of other podcasts. His stuff's really good.
It is good.
Make sure you listen to the whole of it, though. He often it is in depth, but he gives just lots of little tips that are great. Some of the work that I think what I would say is that, and you've mentioned this, you do it it's not about you keeping your mornings free. It's about you keeping certain times free. And I learned this with writing when I was working on writing my book, that your brain is in many ways, a toddler, right? And toddlers thrive on routine. If you don't want to feel like you're struggling with your attention, creating routines really matters for deep work. So, you're talking about you have your really hard work time from an hour to 2 hours. And then the rest of the time, you're talking to people, and it's just kind of that free floating, people need your attention, right? And I'm obviously constantly working within the framework of people needing my attention. But if you're and that's why for me, mornings are important because I have to get up before the kids. But if your brain, if you do something for a week, for 2 weeks, your brain will start to meet you at that moment. And so creating that habit is just really important of, if you have to write or you have a big project or ongoing kind of full concentration work, setting aside the same time every day to do that will build triggers into your mind. And it's the same thing we're going to talk about with evening routine. If you have the same kind of having a bedtime routine is really important. And if you do that same thing for 2 weeks, your brain will start to say, it's sleeping time now. And it is. It's very much like a toddler. So I'd say that's what I would add to for the work side of things is that, you have to have distinguish between free floating time when you can handle all the busy, emails, stuff that doesn't take a lot of work, but it is work. You have to get it done, but it doesn't take a lot of concentration. Probably better. And then there's the stuff where you're I have to think about this, and you have to create blocks of time for that.
That's good. The other thing I'd mention, as you're saying all that, because I think it's very true, you want to get rhythms. One of the things they tell you to do is take breaks every hour for about 5 minutes and move. And then another thing, and I hate this, folks. I mean, this sounds terrible. I think because of our generation, we didn't know soda was so bad for us. I would drink a Coke, but drink water. Get water in your body. It hydrates you, which then affects your body, your mind, the whole thing. The other thing is, go ahead. Go, Peach.
I was going to say, and to go along with that, drinking plenty, your body makes a huge difference. So getting the quality sleep, but then drinking lots, you'll be shocked. When I've emphasized that, how much sharper I am. And to go along with that, your lunch and your breakfast makes a huge difference. If you go out, and it's tempting because I love that, a hamburger or something like that. But if you eat something heavy for lunch, you're gonna, you bet. I hope you're not planning on concentrating for the next 2 hours.
Yeah, I would say if I eat something heavy for
you
lunch,
go out and you have fried chicken.
Right. If I eat something heavy for lunch, my nap is not 1:30 to 2. That's what I would say. My nap will be longer than that.
Yeah. It's 1:30 to 3.
Hey, don't say that. People will fire me. The other thing is, and I think I think it's important. From 2 to 4, I just do basic work. Whatever I need to do, whatever needs to be done, because I've gotten the big rocks done. And then I finish each day by shutting down and reviewing for my next day. And I'll talk more about that when we get to the evening. because I have an evening routine too. But I try to do that. I try to stop and get an hour and a half where I don't do anything. That is, I'll eat dinner after, we'll talk again in the evening routine, but I try to get all that done. So I hope those tidbits help you folks as you're talking about work. I love what PJ said, because there is this truth of rhythms. And, I travel. We're going to talk a little bit about that and how that might help for those of you that travel. But I have to be flexible with that too. Just like you have to be flexible with Søren walking in.
Right.
So.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you, buddy.
All right. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah,
love you
too.